Tag, I'm it. Hello everyone and welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Chris and today's video is the Reread, Rewrite or Burn book tag. I was tagged to do this one by Rodger at Rodger Reads. Channel and video will be linked down below, and in this tag what we do is we take a list of recently read books or books that we've rated, and we choose a whole bunch of random categories of 3 books, choosing the ones that we would reread, i.e. excellent, rewrite, could have used some tweaking, or burn. I feel like that one is fairly self-explanatory. So what I've done is taken 115 books. I didn't quite have 100 from all the books that I read in 2021 and all those that I've read in 2022 so far. So I just sort of popped in a couple of books that I remember quite clearly, and we'll go from there. I'm going to do 5 rounds of 3 books. The first round, let's get our numbers ready. I'm using a random number generator, so please forgive me for looking down at the laptop screen. For round 1, we drew 106, Contest by Matthew Riley, 89, Jade War by Fonda Lee, and 38, Dreams of the Dying by Nicholas Lietzow. So reread for me is easy on this one. It's got to be Dreams of the Dying by Nicholas Lietzow. It's behind me so I can get it. This is one I actively want to reread, and I'm not one that does that very often. This book has so much in it, even though it is quite chunky at about 800 pages. I feel like you would gain so much on a reread of this one. If you have not picked this one up already, do yourself a favor and grab it. Look at this hardback. Is it not? And it's like on the naked hardback, it is the same graphic. This is one of the editions that came with a whole bunch of illustrations in the back. I genuinely do not spend the 70, 80 Australian dollars on these hardbacks when they come out from self-pub authors, but this one was too good to pass up. I really enjoyed Dreams of the Dying, if you didn't catch on already. The rewrite that I'm going for this one is going to be Jade War by Fonda Lee. Now, I think Jade War was absolutely amazing. It was on par with Jade City for me. I think I liked Jade War a little bit better, but it did get a little bit long in the tooth at parts. That being said, it was still super enjoyable, and just some sentences that could have been tweaked to make it a little bit snappier for me, but still very good read. Which means, unfortunately, we need to burn Contest by Matthew Riley. Still really enjoyed Contest by Matthew Riley, but I find that with Riley's writing style, it's all action, it's all go, you know exactly what you're getting, and it's a pretty standard formula for most of his books, so you can pick up what happens pretty easily in anything. Well, anything I've read so far. I've not read any of the big series personally. Alright, on to round 2. We had number 43, Earthlings by Sayaka Murata, 32, Gerald's Game by Stephen King, and 82, The Girl Who Played with Fire by Stieg Larsson. I'm gonna have to chuck... I don't know. I would probably reread Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. It was a very odd book. It was horror, it was speculative fiction. It was speculative fiction with body horror, but it had a lot of interesting conversations around work. We are basically machines that we just turn the wheels. We're just parts of a machine that keeps going and not wanting to be parts of a machine. But this book had every content warning under the sun, but it was hard hitting. It was lucky it was such a short book because it got disgusting at the end with some body horror stuff, but it still really made me think. So it would be one that I would reread, and I think because there are so many content warnings and it did get so disturbing, it does need to be one you read in a day or 2 days max. Don't keep that in your brain for longer than you have to. Rewrite, I would probably go The Girl Who Played with Fire by Stieg Larsson. I found book 2 of the Millennium Trilogy to be a bit long in the tooth in terms of repetitiveness or repetitive structure with sentences, and just the way that you'd have the end of a sentence be the same as the beginning of the next sentence, which to me as a reader annoys me, but maybe that's just me. But I would rewrite that one, which means Gerald's Game is burning. I don't think Gerald's Game was bad. I don't think I'd ever read it again though. It was interesting, very slow burn, very psychological thriller. It was alright, but definitely was not my favourite Stephen King that I've ever read, so it can just go on the burn pile, I guess. Alright, that takes us to round 3. For round 3, we had 108, Sylvia by Bryce Courtney, 81, The Way of the Shadows by Brent Weeks, and 90, A King's Radiance by Luke Schultz. These are all really good books. I don't want to burn any of them, but we must, as that is the game. I would reread Sylvia by Bryce Courtney because it's been a long time since I read it. It is a historical fiction following a young lass and a young lad as they navigate medieval times. It has been a long time, but I remember loving it and knowing that it was an older white Australian guy that wrote it. Some of the themes in the book were surprising. We have a young gay man and his story is lovely and he's such a lovely character, and I would reread it. I think it's been a long enough time for me to get over that annoyance of rereading things, so it is one I do want to revisit in the future. I just don't know when. I'm not a huge rereader, as I've said about 4,000 times already in this video, but it is one that I would probably go back and reread. I would rewrite A King's Radiance by Luke Schultz. Now, I think A King's Radiance is near 5 stars for me. There are just little nitpicky things that I had with the book in terms of some of the conversations between characters and some of the dialogue. So those little bits I would rewrite to make the stakes a little bit higher or to have it a bit more drawn out. But that's the only reason that I would rewrite any of that book. I think it was near perfect for a reader like me, which means The Way of the Shadows is going in the burn pile, which sucks because I really enjoyed The Way of the Shadows. I definitely liked the first half of it more, the coming of age, and I got a little bit confused with the second half, but it sort of came together when I read book 2. But I guess Brent Weeks, I'm sorry, your book's going in the section of this tag. Round 4, anyone? Round 4, we've got number 8, The Hod King by Josiah Bancroft, 112, Druid's Sword by Sarah Douglas, and 3, The Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie. Again, all good books, none of which I actively wish to burn, but here we are. I would reread The Hod King by Josiah Bancroft. I think the first 3 books in the Books of Babel series were excellent. Some of the witty humour and character developments that came out in books 2 and 3 were some of the best that I've ever read. Some sort of quirky, sort of steampunky, very interesting world, and I would like to... It's one of those series that I wish I could experience for the first time again, particularly the first 3. I didn't hate book 4 as much as a lot of people seem to, but it definitely left me a little bit underwhelmed, whereas books 1 to 3 were absolutely just brilliant. They were fantastic. Rewriting, I would probably rewrite The Last Argument of Kings, which is book 3, I want to say. Yeah, it's book 3 in the original First Law trilogy. There's a lot of foreshadowing that happened and sort of came together in The Last Argument of Kings, and I really enjoyed... I found Abercrombie hard to get into for me as a plot and world-driven reader because he is so character-heavy. I would probably sort of work those world-building and plot moments further into the story, but honestly, for what it is, for character-driven readers, it is an excellent series. But just, yeah, for me, I just want more plot and more world-building. That being said, a lot of foreshadowing came to the conclusion in book 3, and we did get a lot more plot and world building happening in books 2 and 3, which means Druid's Sword by Sarah Douglas goes in the burn pile. Not a bad book at all, but I did have my issues with the series. So Druid's Sword is book 4 in the Troy game series by Sarah Douglas, and it got a little bit long in the tooth towards the end. It's basically a twist on the Groundhog Day sort of trope, but we're doing it with different ancient historical time periods, and we're jumping with the same set of characters. I won't give too much away because it all happens in the first book if you want to read it. The Troy game is a series. Hades' Daughter was quite good, which was the first book in the series. I enjoyed the series as a whole, don't get me wrong, but it did get a little bit long in the tooth, so that one can go in the bin. Which brings us to round 5, the final round of this tag. For round 5, we had 97, The Gunslinger by Stephen King, book 1 in the Dark Tower series. We had number 35, Forever Odd by Dean Koontz, book 2 in the Odd Thomas series, and 53, The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R. Tolkien. Well, I'm rereading Tolkien. The other two don't stand a chance for the reread section. I read Lord of the Rings for the first time in 2021 and was just blown away. I'm someone who doesn't sit still very well, so I don't watch movies, so the way I was going to consume that story was through the original medium in print, and I had such a good time with both the physical and the audio books for the Lord of the Rings series. I would reread it, probably not immediately because I still remember quite a bit that happened, but I do think it is one of those series that you just get more and more out of the more that you read it. So maybe in a few years I will pick that one back up. Rewrite. I would rewrite The Gunslinger with Stephen King. It was very slow burn, even for such a small book, but it still packed a punch, which means that Forever Odd is going in the burn pile. Again, much like Matthew Riley, not a bad book, but you know what you're going to get. I enjoy the Odd Thomas series. I think they're all solid 3 stars for me, but it's definitely the weakest one on this list. So, that was a tag. Once again, thank you, Rodger, for tagging me in this one, and it's my turn to tag a couple of people. Now, I don't have a huge amount of friends here on BookTube yet, and I'd love to make more. I am going to tag 3 people that I think could give this one a go, depending on if they get time, depending on if they watch this video. We'll see. Those are Read by Kyle, a relatively new booktuber, and I really enjoy his content, so I'm going to tag you, Kyle, if you want to give this one a go. Kristen L, SFF Reader. We've recently just subscribed to each other on the channel. I like her video. She recently did a video going through some ARC reviews, which was excellent, so I'm going to tag you as well if you want to give this one a go. And lastly, my latest subscription, Rekindled Reader. He is well on his way to 100 subscribers. Maybe he already is by the time that this comes out, but go and give him a follow as well. I really enjoy his videos, has such a good way of speaking to the camera, and it feels immersive immediately for someone who's new to BookTube here. Of course, anyone who wants to do this tag, please feel free to go ahead and do the reread, rewrite, or burn challenge. It was a lot of fun. That's it for me today. If you like the content, give it one of these. If you want to see more of it, then click subscribe at your will, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.